It's nearly the third and final month of the quarter, and there's a lot that I need to get done before April begins, so I thought it might be fun to show you my planning process this week. It's sort of an ugly process. There's a lot of math involved, more math than any writer has a right to do, probably. You'll notice that I'm channeling my faceless and animated alter ego today. That's because I wanted to spare you the confused faces I make while I do math. So I'm going to start by assessing how many hours I have available this month. This is a page in the HB90 planner from author Sarah Cannon. I mentioned in my 2023 goals video that I was trying HB90 for the first time this quarter, and I'm still diligently sticking to it, and I probably will be sticking to it for the rest of the year. Each of these blocks you see is one task block. In a typical week, if I start working by 6 a.m., which honestly has been a bit of a struggle, and stop working by 5 p.m., which has also been a bit of a struggle, but I'm planning for my ideal here, I know I'm working around 11 hours, or 22 task blocks every day, but that's before I put in all my time commitments. We'll get to that later. First, I'm really trying to be better about giving myself a break. So I'm going to start out by Xing out every day after 5 and all day on Sunday, because that's my break time. Next, I put in all my non-negotiable freelance time. I shoot for around 20 freelance hours every week. If I'm trying to have a free day on Saturday, that means working 4 freelance hours every weekday. I put my freelance hours in orange. That leaves me with 7 hours, which is 14 task blocks. Next, I block out 1.5 hours, or 3 task blocks, from 11:30 to 1 for lunch every day. And I'm not eating lunch the whole time, okay? Don't at me. I usually also work out for at least 1 task block during that time, but we're just going to mark it off for lunch to make things easier to see right now. That leaves me 5.5 hours or 11 task blocks for work every weekday, and more than that on Saturday, but let's just focus on the weekdays for now. But I know I can't work 5 consecutive hours without a break, so I'm going to give myself a 30-minute break every hour. That also gives me enough time to account for things like prayer that happen throughout the day, so I'll mark out 1 task block after every 2 hours every morning, and on Saturday afternoons, I'll give myself a break every 3 task blocks, so every hour and 30 minutes in the afternoon. Here's what that looks like. I want to stress that I am only estimating everything here. I don't necessarily do everything at the allotted time, but this does allow me to account for everything that I need to account for from a bird's eye view of the week. For example, I do use a freelance task block almost every Tuesday morning for a 9 a.m. meeting. So on Tuesdays, I tend to start the afternoon hours 1 task block later, or finish 1 task block earlier to account for that. But I can worry about the particulars once I'm planning the individual day in my daily planner. My daily schedule tends to be a little more detailed, and things get moved around all the time. This way, I know I'm taking everything I need to into account. So this schedule means I have 8 available task blocks every weekday and 14 task blocks available on Saturdays. So 54 task blocks available for the entire week, which is 27 hours of work. And that is divisible by 3, which theoretically means I can give 9 hours to each of my 3 goals every week in March. Now, if we're looking at the quarter calendar, March is 5 weeks long, week 9 through week 13. If every week is going to be the same, I'll have 54 times 5 task blocks, or 270 task blocks total for the month. However, I can't just multiply this by 5 to get my total for the month, because I'm going to be traveling for pretty much all of week 10. I'm going to AWP. And I know for a fact I'll have a lot of downtime while I'm there, but I don't want to schedule anything just in case I decide I'd rather sightsee Seattle and be a person. So I'm going to multiply 54 by 4 instead and get 216 for the month of March. That's 216 that I have to divide among my 3 goals. Even though it's divisible by 3, I'm not going to divide it equally, because some goals require more than others. So the next step is to figure out how many of these 216 task blocks I'm going to dedicate to each goal. Now, I made a commitment this year to post a video every week on YouTube. That was goal 2, and it's been my one non-negotiable this quarter. Thanks to my diligent, if unhinged, time tracking, I can get a sense of how long it will take me to make each video this month. So let's turn to Timular now. Now I know video 4 took me this long because I had to animate and draw Joaquin for the first part of the Bojack video, which took me numerous hours. So thank you, Joaquin, for that. And even though that series isn't over yet, there's still 2 parts left. I won't have to start from scratch anymore. The next iteration is going to be more like part 2 of that video, which was actually video 8. It took me just under 11 hours. The other very long video was video 6, the Taylor Swift analysis. But I think that only took so long because so much of it involved screen recording lyrics in order to explain them. I don't see myself doing that again. At least, not this month. So I think I can make an educated guess and say that my remaining videos are going to take me 11 hours each. Since I have 5 videos left, I need to plan for 55 hours, or 110 task blocks. 216 minus 110 leaves me with 106 task blocks that I can split between goal 1, which is novels, and goal 3, which is short fiction and poetry. Now I know when I set my goals at the beginning of the quarter, I'd hoped to end the quarter with 13 poems and 30 submissions, 10 submissions a month, and 1 poem a week. However, I decided in January that 30 was maybe too many submissions to plan for, so I decided to do 15 total instead, 5 a month. By the end of this weekend, I should have 8 poems and 10 submissions finished, which means that in March, I need to find the time to write 5 more poems and do 5 more submissions if I want to meet my goals for the quarter. I'm going to give myself 3 task blocks to do the submissions and 2 task blocks for every poem, so 13 task blocks total. 106 minus 13 leaves me with 93 task blocks for goal 1. That's around 47 hours. Goal 1 for me this quarter was to complete 3 drafts of 1 novel and send it to my agent, and also finish 2 drafts of a second novel. And I knew that this was an ambitious goal. The way I broke it down was that I would complete draft 1 of both by the end of January, draft 2 of both by the end of February, and then the final draft of 1 by the end of March. I did finish the first draft of both of them, and I'm pretty close to finishing draft 2 of one of them, and I think it's possible that I'll finish it before March 1st. But I have not gotten around to draft 2 of the second novel. So I think I've pretty much decided that I'm going to nix that. I'm going to make that my first goal for quarter 2. And instead, I'm going to turn my focus this month to completing that final draft of the first novel, which would still make me incredibly ecstatic. This is me nodding in excitement, by the way. So I have 93 task blocks to get that final draft done in March. Now that I know I need 93 task blocks for goal 1, 110 task blocks for goal 2, and 13 task blocks for goal 3, it's time to figure out how much I can dedicate to each goal every remaining week this quarter. We'll start again with goal 2, the YouTube goal. Now I know since I'm not working week 10, I'm going to need to plan to complete 2 videos on week 9, and I'll just schedule video 10 to post while I'm traveling. Since every video is 22 task blocks, that means 44 task blocks of my 54 weekly allotted task blocks that first week will be spent on those videos. Hopefully they don't take me that long. Then I know I'm going to need at least 2 task blocks on goal 3 to write poem 9. So since I'm starting with 54 total task blocks, that leaves me with 8 to spend on goal 1. We're going to skip week 10 because I'll be traveling, and hopefully I do get some writing time in Seattle, but I'm not going to plan for it and I'm not going to count on it. Week 11. I'm going to need another 22 task blocks on goal 2, and this time I'm going to be submitting, so I'll be using the typical 2 task blocks to write poem 11, but I'll also need 3 task blocks to submit. Also, since I'm skipping week 10, and I still need a poem for week 10 in order to reach my quarter goals, I'll add an additional 2 task blocks to write that extra poem. So that gives me a total of 7 task blocks on goal 3, for week 11, and that leaves me with 25 to spend on goal 1. Week 12 and 13 will be the same, because I'm just posting a video and writing a poem. So 22 for goal 2, and 2 for goal 3, which leaves me with 30 for goal 1. Now that I know how much I'm supposed to spend every week on each goal, I can go back to my schedule and block out the necessary task blocks for each goal so that I can see at a glance what I'm supposed to be working on every hour. I was doing it all manually with my HB90 printout, but then I found this awesome Google Sheet on Etsy, and I'll drop a link in the description so you can have it too. It just makes seeing everything so much easier, and I love that I can see the bar graph showing me how many hours I'm working on each task. First, I put in any meetings or time-sensitive deadlines, and then I fill in the rest of the sheet until I reach my task block goals for each goal. This is a little more detailed than the initial task block planner, but still not as detailed as my daily planner. But I write that out every night or first thing in the morning. Once I blocked off the time on this sheet, I go to my next digital tool, which is Notion. I only started using Notion a few weeks ago, but I love it so much and would be happy to do a tutorial if you ask for it. But yeah, I did already put all of my tasks for the quarter into my dashboard. But now that we have a new, more realistic plan, I need to go in and change some of the due dates. I love having it all in Notion because what I'll do every morning is I'll filter by the day and say tasks due on or before this day. And then I can just watch them disappear as I check them off, which is so fun, and I can't wait to use it next quarter. Plus, I can look at all of them in a calendar view, which makes it super easy to see what I have scheduled for every week, and drag things around if I need to. So next, I'm going to update the due dates in Notion based on this new plan, and then I'm going to write the week 9 tasks into my planner, keeping my total number of task blocks in mind for every goal, and I only write 1 week at a time. That way, if I have to move things around or push things back, it's not too hard. And I always have these digital tools to keep me on track. Thank you for joining me. I hope learning about my planning process was helpful to you in some way. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions or comments or ideas for future content. As you can see, I'm pretty serious about posting at least once a week, and I do really enjoy hearing from you all. It makes the math worth it.